Hey, welcome to Picking Daisies, the podcast where we dive into all things messy, beautiful, and a little bit chaotic. I'm Mary Hendricks, your hot mess of a host, ready to walk with you through every laughable, cry-worthy, and grow-worthy moment. Every Tuesday, join me and an incredible lineup of fellow moms, women, and experts as they share their own stories of growth, resilience, and silver linings that they've uncovered. Together, we're building a village, a reminder that even in the thick of it, you are truly never alone. Because let's be real, we all have our mess. Everyone's got those moments. But here, we are finding the beauty in it, also the humor, and growing from whatever life and motherhood may bring our way. Welcome to Picking Daisies. All right. Hello, Picking Daisies. Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
Hi, yay. Okay, obviously, if you guys are hearing, I have Maddie here with me. Maddie the mama. I'm not going to say Maddie and the mama. Maddie the mama. That's her account on Instagram. You're on TikTok too, right?
Yeah, but I'm not an avid user.
Me neither. Well, I am. I have I deleted the stupid app off my phone when it got banned. So now I can't get it back.
No. I'm an avid scroller, but I'm not an avid poster.
I'm an avid scroller. I used to be an avid poster. I would try, at least. I was trying to pick things up until the whole thing happened. So I haven't posted anything. I have to go on my computer if I want to post up anything. So I just haven't been, because I'm like waiting for something to happen. But whatever.
I don't know what the deal is there.
I don't know. Okay. Well, anyway, Maddie's here. I'm going to let her introduce herself because I am famous for just like, I forget. And then like all of a sudden we're halfway into the show and I'm like, no one knows who this is. So say hi.
Hey, I'm Maddie, aka Maddie the Mama on Instagram, not TikTok. Do I just give them like my elevator speech?
Yeah, everything. Everything as to what you share, what you do, all that.
Yeah, so I'm a mom of 2 toddlers, 2 under 4. I am a creator. I also own my own influencer talent agency. So I represent 8 motherhood influencers. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm happy to be here.
I know. I'm excited. We could always talk about like all that creator side. I should have you come on and talk about that because I think it's fun and just like a other side. But the reason I wanted to have Maddie come on is because, she's a creator. And when we say creator, but she's a mom and you share mom things. And that's how we got connected. It's just the content that we share. And the thing that drew me into you and what I wanted you to come on for was just the topic of mental health, because that is something that Maddie talks about frequently on her page and is very open about. And it's very refreshing to see you be so open about it, just because it's, how it is. It's just so stigmatized. And, I've been very open about my journey, and it's a newer journey for me because I've dealt with mental health, but motherhood really brought it forth this third time around. Definitely brought, every time it brings more and more to the surface, every baby that you have. But this third time, it really just brought a whole new version out of myself that I'm not 100% a fan of. So I'm trying to rein that one in and figure it out. It's hard. It's hard too, because mental health is it's just complicated. It's complicated and it's scary and it's very vulnerable to talk about. And not a lot of people are doing that. So that's why I really wanted you to be here to, talk about your journey with that and all that goodness.
Yeah, I love talking about it. I feel like a lot of people don't, and that's why it's so taboo. And then also on the flip side, I feel like a lot of people don't understand it because not enough people are talking about it.
Yeah, no, not at all. And that's the thing is like, I know for me, I recently started on an SSRI back in August, but that was like it was a hard pill to swallow. Like literally, it was a hard pill to swallow just because, literally because you have a moment of taking it and you have a doubt where I'm like, do I really need this? Like, I should be stronger than this, because I feel like mental health has always been driven down or not. It's always been said to be, it's the battle of the brains. It's the battle of your mind. It's about your stamina of like your, confidence and self-talk and all that stuff. And it's just about, how you can change your thoughts, essentially, is like change your thought pattern, change yourself. And that is totally true. I do believe in that stuff to an extent. And then there are certain things that are just completely out of our control because our brain is an organ, just like anything else. And sometimes you just need a little extra assistance, no different than anyone else. But for me, I really went through like a period of, okay, well, what does it mean if I need this? And what does it mean if it helps me? Because there's just a lot of acceptance that and stigma that you have to kind of swallow literally and just kind of sit with. And it's weird. And because people don't talk about it, then you feel like you're all alone or the only one. And it's just, yeah, it needs to be chatted about more, which is why you're here. So
I think that's also like people are like, oh, am I going to take this pill? And then am I still me?
mhm.
I know that's like something that I really thought about and had and struggled with like in the beginning. Like, is this still my personality? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because there's like a lot of, I know for me, the biggest thing, so I have PMDD, which I've talked about openly, but that's the reason why I brought it on and like, ventured into that area because for, 2 weeks, 10 days out of the month, I get to suicidal like levels. That's how bad it is. So I could only do that so long before I was like, this is actually, it's not going to end well if I don't take care of this. So that's why I did. But I was scared because I do like the way I feel. And I feel like my emotion, I've always been more emotional. I've always been more of like an empath. I've always felt stronger and things like that. But what I didn't realize until taking my medication is the way I felt things was not normal. Like there were so many things that I thought were normal attributes of myself that I realized is not it was unhealthy and I was just stuck in it. And because I didn't know any other way to live that, yeah, you don't know. And it's not changed me. I think it's made me not give a fuck as a little bit more, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's always good. But
No, I definitely resonate with that. I definitely once like it had actually started kicking in, like I would say it took like 3 or 4 months before I actually felt like stable in everything. But once it kicked in, I was like, wow, people don't cry every single day.
I know, except
I'm
I
like, I
can
thought I
still
was just
cry.
emotional.
I did too. I cried. Oh my God. And especially during PMDD, that's how I knew too. It was like a physical thing because I couldn't stop. Like I literally, my body, it was like my brain was doing something that I had no control over. And that's a very frustrating feeling is like, again, because we just are constantly told that we are in control of this thing in our head because, we're in it all the time if you think about it.
Yeah.
But it's just it's kind of unsettling, but also it's really also reassuring too in some way where you give yourself a little bit more grace. And I've kind of like come to accept a few more things about myself. And hard moments I'm kind of like, okay, this isn't you, this is your brain, this isn't like a behavioral, this is a physiological thing. That I don't know. It's been a good thing, and also at the beginning, it's bittersweet. It's like a weird thing. I don't want it, but I'm glad I have it, type of thing.
Yes. I
So
definitely resonate with that.
yeah.
Yeah, that feeling.
Where did your so I know you've talked openly about mental health. Where did all your journey to start? Did you always struggle with mental health, or was it postpartum related, things like that?
Yeah, so I would say that kind of like your story, it's not it didn't come from a child in my I guess like in the beginning. I've kind of always struggled with it, but I didn't recognize that I was struggling with it. And I have a lot of family members that are on Zoloft or an
Yep.
SSRI.
Yep.
Bipolar and depression and that kind of stuff runs in my family.
Okay.
But I think I never wanted to like succumb to it. I was like, no, I don't have that,
Hmm. Yep.
And then after my first kid, I definitely had heavy PPD, and I ignored it. I had disconnect from him. I don't think we bonded until he was like 8 months old. I had a lot of feelings of like, am I supposed to be a mom? I was
Hmm.
crying every day. I definitely had suicidal ideations. Then I kind of got through it without medication. And then after my second child, I was like, this is not right. Like, if I do not get help, I will die. So I think it just like I've always had this predisposition. And then after my second kid, it really just like escalated to the point where I was like, this cannot be right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's how it was with me. It's just like something. I mean, your body changes every time, but like
Right.
yeah, I can't keep going at that pace and whatever. So you're taking Zoloft. Is that the one you're on?
Yeah, I
Okay.
take Zoloft.
Nice. Yeah. I'm on Lexapro, which
Okay.
I know you had said like family members and stuff like that. That's how I took Lexapro because my I have some family members that are taking it. And that was what my doctor said is for anyone listening, if you're open or if you can talk to someone, especially if you're like your sister or a mom or something like that, that takes something and they're responding well, that's what my doctor said, because genetically we all kind of react different to different SSRIs. I know there's a test too. I want to take one of those. Have you heard of that?
I'm so sorry. My dogs are barking.
Don't worry about it.
Um,
So,
just another chaotic thing in my life.
it's fine.
But yeah, I have seen that, and I would also like to take like just to see what it says. But like you, my mom has been on Zoloft since she was like 35 years old, and so
Nice.
like I pretty much knew that like probably it would work for me since it works for her.
Yeah.
And I think that like that is if anyone listening does have like a place to start, because sometimes people aren't as lucky with their medication journey. I think that there's a lot of people that struggle with finding the right dosage, the right type. And so if you have anybody that is genetically, the same
Related
as
to you and you're
you,
open, yeah, ask them because that will help narrow it down. But if not, I'll link. I think it's called like Genocide, or I think it's called like a
yeah,
Dutch test or something. I'll link it in the show notes if anyone's listening. I haven't done it, but I know it's something, and I don't know how it works. I'm assuming you probably get the test ordered and you probably go to like get a lab work drawn up or something and you send it in. But apparently, it's supposed to take a look at you specifically and like match you best with what would probably work better with like your body specifically. So if you don't have anyone that you feel comfortable reaching out to, or don't have anyone that you could ask, that would be a great starting place, especially if you're struggling, because that's what I've heard. I've been lucky with the Lexapro, although I've had to go up one more dose. So if this one more dose doesn't work, then I'm going to have to,
switch.
keep dancing around, yeah, and play around with it. But um, it's nice when it works. I liked it when it started working. I was like, oh, this is
Oh, this is
lovely.
good.
This is nice. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." It was like someone took the like again, I think that's the biggest misconception because one, there was a few misconceptions, and you can tell me what if you've heard any. A, it's a Band-Aid. That I hated. And that one actually messed with me a little bit. That was one that I really was impacted by because I like on Instagram and stuff like that, we see all these people that are like, all natural and things like that. And I call myself soggy, like I'm crunchy and
Oh,
that like
like kind of, yeah.
yeah, yeah, because I hear scrunchy and I'm like, soggy. Like you're not crunchy cereal. I've been sitting in there a little bit and like I'm embracing it. I would like to be crunchy. I'll try, but no, there's too much milk. So available.
Yep.
But that's me where I'm like, I'll try what I can. But and I did. And for the longest time I tried like all the natural stuff. It didn't work. And I also think it could have had I been in a different mental state. I think I'm more capable now to be able to do that. And I thought about it and I was like, because everyone said it's just a Band-Aid, it's not a cure. And I'm like, but Band-Aids are essential too. So if you're going to take that mentality, and if you're someone here listening, a Band-Aid is essential. And I actually, when someone had repeated that to me, I looked up what it exact because we all know Band-Aids. We have kids, boo-boos on the knees and stuff like that. But I never thought about why exactly we do it. Why exactly we cover a boo-boo, because it's just norm. And so I looked them up, and if you look up a Band-Aid, it's to cover a wound so that way it obviously doesn't get more dust and debris and get more infected, and it can heal in time. And then you'll meet some people that if they get a scratch, they're going to be like, I'll let it air. I'll let it breathe and it will heal better. And you'll hear the people that are like, let it breathe, it will heal better. Some wounds can do that. Not all wounds can. And when I read that, I was like, okay, so if you want to take the Band-Aid mentality, that may work for some people to let it out and breathe. Some people need breathing exercise, and that is perfectly enough for like their anxiety and stress and whatever is going on. But other people need that coverage so that way we can heal the correct way and not get any worse. And that's all I kept thinking. And I was like, sure, it's a fucking Band-Aid then. And great. I'm so glad it is, because now I can actually start making the motions that I wanted to of like, maybe trying to work out, because I wasn't able to even do that. I had I had stress over that. Like, I wasn't really eating. I lost so much weight because I was not eating, because I don't eat when I'm stressed. So I lost a ton of weight where I'm like, now I'm hungry. And I actually saw one of your stories. I think it was in your mental health highlight, where I think you got up and you had started and you said, I'm not hungry. But today, like just as a medication update, I woke up and I was actually wanting breakfast. And that's huge. I did that this morning. I made myself breakfast. I got downstairs and was like, I haven't really wanted to do that for a very long time. and
Mhm.
it makes a big difference. So
Yeah, I think with the whole Band-Aid thing, I wrote this paper in college about how, and I am not a doctor by any means, so nobody listen to me about brain. I got a D in physiology and like whatever. So don't think that I'm like some brain expert, all right? But I know like it is fact that there are things that you can do to change your brain chemistry, right? But it even that is temporary. So I wrote this paper in college about the fact that yes, like listening to your favorite music, doing yoga, eating the right things, it can give you dopamine or serotonin or whatever you want to say. But at the same time, you cannot force a depressed or anxious person to do the things that they need to be doing to make themselves feel better. So you cannot take someone in the, slump of a depression and be like, "You want to go to a yoga class?" Like, no,
it
I don't
doesn't
want to go to a
work.
fucking yoga class.
No, and that's the thing is like, but that's the misconception though, is because like, I even remember I had a friend in high school whose mom, and I always like, she has a soft spot in my heart. My friend and her mom don't get along, and I understand that because there's a lot of baggage there that I didn't know anything about. But anytime I see her mom, she just, I give her a big hug, and I loved her because I feel for her, and I know that she struggled badly with her mental health. And like where I would go over, and she was my best friend in high school, but her mom would be in bed. And I remember, and I have the opposite. My mom, and I know we also share a connection. We can talk about it, that we both have lost a sibling. But my mom, when my sister died, my mom never did anything. And that like flabbergasted me because God forbid, like as a mom now, I can't even imagine that. I don't want to. And but to go through that, if I had to imagine not being medicated, you would have to fucking put a tranquilizer dart in me. I don't even know what I would do. But my mom didn't do anything because my mom was the old school mentality of something bad happened, something sad happened. I should be sad and I should feel bad. And yes, obviously, but I don't think what my mom realized, and like this is something I've tried telling her, is this doesn't stop that. It's not like you're going to be magically given this pill that's going to be like, oh, like I don't feel this anymore. I don't have this sadness. It doesn't do that. It allows you to process it in a way that's at your pace. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna yell at my dogs really quickly.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's like one person walks across the street and they're
I
like,
just I, I just had I don't know if you follow her, low carb Dashian. That's
yeah,
her
yeah,
account
yeah.
on there.
Uh-huh.
But she was on, and her dog, she's like a giant mastiff. And he kept wanting to come in because every time she's on the phone, he's like a big child. Like every time on the phone, he wants to interrupt. And so she's like getting up and yelling at him. And then I was laughing because she's like, "You're making my butthole clench." And she was so serious.
My dogs like literally they only bark when something important is like happening.
I know.
I'm like,
That's
can you
fine.
guys not?
That's fine.
Anyways,
Anyway.
back to the mentality of yeah, like I think that, if I hate the word band-aid too, but I think if someone wants to try medication because they need, the band-aid to help them start making different life choices or whatever it
Yeah.
may be, and then they want to try the weaning journey because they don't want to be on medication,
Yeah.
totally supportive of that.
Yeah.
But I think there's some people like myself who the thought of ever getting off is too scary. I think
Same.
that I think that my thoughts and things that happened inside my head, I just wouldn't be willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
I didn't think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's same with me where I'm like, I don't want to do that. But that's my thing is like you grow up with this mentality of, thinking about, my friend's mom who's in bed where I'm like, you can't, like you said, you can't pull someone out of this stuff. It's not just as easy as seeing someone and being like, put a smile on your face, just think positively. It's not that simple. Yes, those things help, but when you are in the depths, and if we're talking to you, I don't know if you're listening and you feel like you are at your lowest, heal in whatever way that you need to. And again, it doesn't have to be forever. But if you're really, what's the alternative? Like, do you want to feel? Either you can. For me, I was like, either I can feel really shitty on a medication, or I'm feel shitty already. So I was like, what's the worst that can happen at this point? Where I was like,
Agree.
okay, it's fine. So let's try it. But yeah, it's wild. So tinkering into that, tailoring into that, or tailing into that. What word am I going for? I don't know. It's
I
fine.
don't know
My brain.
anything. It's fine.
My
Yeah.
daughter, so I was supposed to drop off before we get into that. I dropped off first. My kids have a delayed opening, which is like Maddie and I had to reschedule this podcast a million times. And I almost had to reschedule it again because a delayed opening happened. But I went to my kids' preschool first before dropping off my daughter, which was not the order of things. And so my daughter is sitting there. She's like, Mom, how come you forgot? And I was like, because I have so many things in my head, Cassidy. And I was like, I have 3 kids that are all asking me a million questions. I got a husband that's been calling me, asking me a million questions. I got a dog with an ear infection. We just got a bird. I said, I was like, I have a million things in my head. And I said, and when you become a mommy, your brain changes. And she was like, really? And I said, yeah. And she's like, well, maybe you just need a vacation, Mom. And I was like, wouldn't argue against that. She's like, well, maybe that would help you. And I was like, yeah, it wouldn't hurt me. But I said, I'm always going to be a mom. My brain's always going to be like this. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, like it's just a real thing. But I feel like those conversations are so important because I like for my daughters, especially, I'm like, I want them to be kind of prepared that like things can change. Like, and I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of moms are also caught off guard with is a lot of us do struggle like me with mental health more after motherhood. And we did not anticipate it. And we think that it shouldn't have been this way. We kind of think of ourselves as failures and we forget that like your brain literally just got altered and your hormones are all out of whack. And some things just need a little extra help. Like and we wouldn't look at someone with diabetes or whatever that needs a little extra assistance. I don't know why we do it with our heads. So
I think that also people like, especially boomers, they think that our generation is like using medicine as like an escape or whatever. But it's like people are failing to take accountability that things that happened in our past do change our brain chemistry.
mhm.
So would all of us be on Zoloft or SSRIs had our parents done things
Yeah.
the boomer way? Because I think a lot of us do have the moms who didn't really show emotion, dads who didn't really show emotion, like that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And one thing that I actively do with my kids, because like you, I think it's important to have these conversations, is every morning when we wake up, I ask them because they're only 3 and 2, the simple question of, are you happy today?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
most of the time they're like, yeah, I'm happy. You're happy. We're all happy. But it's an important question moving forward because some days my son will say, no, I'm sad. And I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
honey, why are you sad? And he'll be like, because you took my iPad away last night.
Yeah, it's something.
Whatever the emotion is. But it's important to be checking in with my kids because I want them to always be able to tell me what their emotion is, which is
Because
something that I definitely didn't get.
I don't either. And like my mom is great and we have a good relationship, but I don't have that. Like I can't
Yep.
call her and tell her any of that stuff. But again, it's the mentality. Even when I told her I was taking an SSRI and I mentioned it very briefly, she was like, why would you take that? And I was like, because I'm a little fucked up, Mom. It's fine. It's okay. We're
Luckily,
fine.
I don't have to have that combo with my mom.
Yeah.
I'm like, you birthed me. You did this.
Yeah. Yeah, right. No, but it's I always think about that because I even think about like my grandma, like my dad's mom. She was older, so she was 42 or 43 when she had my dad. Both my grandparents actually were older when they had my parents, but my dad was the only child. But before him, he had a brother that was stillborn, kind of. Not really. I think they said that, but I think I think he was born and lived for like 30 minutes. But they literally just sent my grandma home and patted her on the knee and said, go home and like forget about this. It's like something like that. And at one point, like no one talked to her. No one would ask her about it. Like she just had to go home and just that was it. And I know my grandpa, he was so sweet, but like he kept like he was old school, but he like kept a memoir and he had a typewriter, but he was so about it. But we read it and he even said that's one of his biggest regrets is that he came home and she was just sad. And he said, enough now. And you have to get over this. Because it was the time. And he said it was the time that you just didn't acknowledge this stuff. But I think about that and I'm like, I think that's why the older generations kind of see us and they think it's weakness. They think it's like a weak thing to, I don't know, it's too vulnerable for them. They don't understand it because I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they're very happy either. I'm like, are you guys happy? Because yeah, I'm like, I appreciate you guys trucking along and pushing through, but why?
So,
Awesome.
you want a sticker?
Yeah, like, why? I don't know. I feel like if life's hard, why do we have to suffer through it? I don't know. I have fun. That's my biggest thing. But um going into that sibling loss,
Yeah.
being that that's something we relate to, I did not know your story. I knew that you mentioned a while ago that you had lost a sister, and I don't want to pry. I don't, people are nosy like that, but I know you had shared that she had died via suicide.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell
I
me about
mean,
her if you're comfy.
yeah, of course. Yeah. So I'm the youngest by a lot. So my
Okay.
closest sibling is 9 years older than me. So Jordan was 12 or 13 years older than me.
Okay.
So she actually passed away when she was 29, which is once I hit my 29th birthday, that was like a very like surreal moment because like
Yeah.
I feel like every birthday from now on, I'm like, what
This
if
is what
you
she would have
just would
been.
have like, yeah, what if you just would have like made it just a little longer, because I can't imagine my life ending at 29. But when
I
I was
know.
19 years old, when she passed away, I was like, you're so old.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that also when she passed away, when I was young, I was a freshman, I was a sophomore in college, and I didn't understand her at all. Um, and I think that's just like me. A, I didn't recognize that I had a mental health condition. B, she was the type to sleep all day. She
Mm,
had bipolar.
okay.
So she would be sleep, sleep, sleep for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden she would get a new job and, want to
Yeah.
go out to lunch.
Okay.
And like that kind of like, and I
And
didn't
bipolar, because
understand.
I looked up bipolar when I started with dealing with PMDD because that's how I feel with
Mm,
bipolar. It's like, because and funny enough, women are usually diagnosed with bipolar first before PMDD because people don't recognize, but it's very similar. Like that's how it feels, but that's how it is where I can like only imagine, but I know it's manic and then depressive, right? It's between the two. There's no like middle ground. That's what
there's no middle
medication's for,
ground.
right? Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I know that there's two different classifications of bipolar, and I'm not 100% certain which one she was. So
Okay. Yeah.
I know that there's like different levels of it. But yeah, I mean, she would just be up and down, and I didn't understand it because I've never been bipolar. So I don't have like manic episodes and then episodes where I'm in bed all the time.
Yeah.
So it was just very frustrating because she like lived with my mom, and I was like, why don't you just get a fucking job and get out of the house, And I don't know. So yeah, I just like have such a fresh perspective now going through my own mental health journey, being older,
Yeah.
being the same age that she was. And yeah, I don't know. And it's interesting because I think I hate to say this, but I think that like and I call it like her legacy kind of
Mhm.
needed to happen. Like
Mhm.
this was supposed to happen because I don't think that I would have the same view on mental health, on life in
Yeah.
general,
Yep.
had I not had this tragic
It's
loss.
such a it's such a bittersweet thing. I just shared about that the other day when I put up like that "You're so funny" thing. Did you do one of
Yeah,
those trends yet? Have you done that?
I didn't know.
That'd be a good one. I love it. I dark humor. It's like, why
Uh-huh.
not? But that's why I like it. But I also like it because it gives people wiggle room because as you know, like I had a sister die from cancer for anyone listening and didn't know that when she was young. So that's a completely different experience. But it's hard when you have a story like that of any sort of death in your family or any sort of negative anything trauma wise that's shaped you who you are. If it's not pretty, you don't want to talk about it and we don't want to hide it. And there's got to be space for it somewhere because it really is important. And it's such a bittersweet feeling because I wrote in the caption where you and we would wish that away in a second. If it meant that we could get them back, absolutely. There, as you said, I have to honor, we can't. And so I have to honor the love and the loss and their legacy in some way and take it as a learning experience and knowing that like I have an empathy that I don't think it's hard earned. Like we have a hard earned empathy that I don't think a lot of people will ever experience. Hopefully not. I hope not. There's something to be said with it that's quite beautiful, but incredibly heartbreaking at the same time. So it's a very conflicting feeling because I love me. Like that's how I always say. It's like her because of my sister. I am me.
Mhm. Agree.
I I also wonder what the version of me would have looked like had she been there? And like that too. Like there's like that. Have you ever seen that movie Sliding Doors? It's like one of my favorite movies.
No,
It's
but
like
I'll have to watch it.
yeah, it's Gwyneth Paltrow, and you might recognize it. It's older. It's like a 90s. It's like a classic early 2000s, like late 90s. But the whole point of it's a little more complex, but the whole point is her running to catch a subway and she misses the door. But then it goes and she like it stops as she misses the door, and then the scene stops and she reverses her. And now she runs down again, and then she does make it. And then the whole movie is two different parallels of what would have happened had she not caught in the door and had caught the door. And it's two different versions of how her life would have taken route. And it's just, I would think about that all the time where I'm like,
Yeah,
it's just it's a weird thing to sit with, but you know, since that's our life isn't a movie,
I know.
it's,
No
you know,
sliding doors. No parallel
no, well,
universe.
no, and that's the thing. It's like we're a lot of this stuff too that we deal with, we see in movies. And then like I had a guest on and she had said that she's like, she had like a breakdown. She was like her mom breakdown. She's older now and her kids are all grown up. But she said I had like one of those true breakdowns where I like dropped my laundry basket and just bawled. And it was like such a movie moment when I think about it. But she's like, I don't have the next scene already written out. I have to move and make the movie keep going. And she's like, that's also quite terrifying sometimes. It's like as an adult, we have everyone making those choices for us. But when it's you, and especially when it's your own thoughts, you're the one that has to make those decisions. And it's so hard. It's so hard. So, oh yeah, no,
I know.
fun stuff.
I think like once I like really, and I think that like mental health is always a thing and like children's mental health is a thing, but I think there is statistics that say like at a certain age women start to get hit a little bit heavier than maybe like youth. And I think a lot of the youth stuff, everyone can just dictate like nature versus nurture, like how much is, what. But I think as I got older, it got worse. And so, like, when I was having the thoughts that I was having, I was like, oh, like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I get why you are where you are. Because,
Yeah.
like, how can you sit there
Yeah.
and, like, have your mind telling you every single day, like, why don't you just die? Why don't you just pull this car into a tree?
That's all. Yeah.
That's not. If
Yeah.
that's not something that you struggle with, you'll never understand it.
No, because that's literally what it is. Like it's a very, very scary, scary feeling. Like when you're really, really bad. I mean, truth be told, that was me last week. I had a really bad PMDD episode, but I know enough now. But it's bad enough where I just looked at my husband. I said, during this week, I want to die every single day. Like I just want to die. But the problem is that I won't do it. Like I know that I won't do it right now. And I hate saying that because I don't want anyone to be scared, but that's how it feels. Is like I can trust myself right now, but if I don't get a hold of this, and I have a hold on it, but if I didn't have that support system, I can only imagine there's no way someone could make it that long. I don't even know because it's so incapacitating. It really is. It's such an anxiety too. Like my husband doesn't. Does your husband struggle with mental health stuff? What the fuck? What the fuck?
I swear to God, my husband wakes up every morning and like yawns in the mirror and he's like, "You're fucking awesome."
That's my husband. He comes downstairs. My husband is such like and he's like, maybe if you do what I do, he's like such a regimented guy where he's like, he gets up at 5, he comes down, he eats the same breakfast every day. He has to do like these calisthenic things. And I get downstairs. If I wake up at all close to him, I get downstairs and I sit on the couch. And like, as he's like doing squats, I'm just like 1, 2, as I'm sitting there. I'm like,
You're
I'm
like,
not fucking,
ew.
no, I'm not doing any of this. I'll count for you over here. But yeah, no, I try explaining, but when I like tell him I'm anxious, he's like, well, what are you nervous about? And I'm like, I was like, that's not it. I was like, yeah, anxiousness. I think that's the thing is like, we think about like someone that's like, always scared of stuff like anxiety. It can be that, but anxiety is also incredibly physical. So for me, like last week, my anxiety was crippling where I was like teeth chattering. That's a terrible feeling. I hate that where like I just constantly, my mouth, if I opened it, I could just see it like my mouth go and then my legs
Heart
felt.
like palpitates.
Heart palpitates. My heart rate at resting because I was so like, and then I got panicked. I was afraid I was going to go into, and that's the thing is like you get nervous about the feeling and then you start
Like,
rabbit holing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the fear of it. Like that makes it worse. And then my heart rate at resting was like at 120. And I was like, "Oh, Jesus, shit." I'm like, "Something's going on." So I was like, I just rested and relaxed, and cried my eyes out because that's sometimes like the only relief I can get is just crying. I always recommend a good cry in the shower. Uh,
Love me a
but
shower cry.
it's yeah, right. But my husband's like, I was like, "It's physical." I was like, "You don't understand. Like, it's I don't I can't function right now. I'm nauseous. I'm like, it's awful, but it's hard to explain to someone that doesn't understand it." So
Yeah. I definitely feel you on that. My husband does not have any mental health issues. He's very happy go lucky.
I think all of those men, for the most part, I mean, men struggle with it, but I don't know. Or they don't talk about it the same way. That's the thing too.
Yeah.
So I don't
But I
know
think
if
like us like medicated girlies always get paired up with somebody that doesn't have any
it is.
mental health issues.
It's true. It's true. It's so true because he balances me out. He brings
Yeah,
me down as I'm like
exactly.
losing my shit. He was like, "Let's
Yeah.
relax," and I'm like, "If you say that again,
That was my
don't
rule
tell me."
today. I was like, don't tell me to calm down.
I know. And yet I do that to him because if he does that, I'm like, "Would you calm down?" And he like
I
looks at
know.
me and I'm
Yeah.
like, "I'm sorry." Like I'm only the one that's allowed to be a little cuckoo here,
Yeah.
but it's fine.
There's
Oh
only room
God.
for one of us.
That's only fine. Yeah, no, literally. Oh God. When did you start sharing? Like on Instagram? Like when did you start with the idea of sharing mental health or was that scary for you when you did?
No, I've always been kind of an open book, like about
Okay.
everything. I feel like I'm very like extroverted. Nothing really like I don't know. I was in sales for 12 years. Like I'm kind of just like, everything's whatever. But I started sharing on Instagram when I was pregnant with my daughter. So a little over a year and a half ago. And the platform started as just like being pregnant and like then postpartum, but it's my life. And so part of the postpartum journey at that point was being sad all the time.
Time.
And
Yeah.
so I think it was more like authentic sharing on like my stories. And then I started realizing how much it was resonating with people. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, well, this is something that probably should be shared more to the masses than anything else. So I did start sharing like a lot of mental health stuff. And I do have to say, like, that is when a lot of my growth happened. I think that like people really resonated with it. But now that I'm on Zoloft and not postpartum and happy, everyone's like, misery loves company, so I guess I need to get
I
pregnant
know.
again.
I know, right? Are you gonna have any more babies or are you guys done? What do you think?
I think I want a third. I'm just kind of like some days are like great and I'm like, woohoo, I can do it, And then
Yeah.
some days like bedtime is like 2 hours
Mm.
I just want to like slam my head into a wall and I'm
What are
like,
you
why
said
would I ever?
two under four, you said?
Yeah.
So was it three or are they four and two?
3.5 and 1.5.
Oh yeah, you got time. Take a little time. That way they're
Yeah, but
a
also
little bit older.
but the gap is closing, the gap
Yeah.
of me ever wanting to like go through the postpartum phase again is closing.
That's
So
true. I know that's me. That was me when I had Haley. I was like, I might want to have a fourth because you are nuts immediately after a baby. I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. Give yourself a little time. If you just had a
Mhm.
baby, just give yourself a little time because it's like a euphoria. For some reason, I think our brain came in and just like wiped the slate clean just to trick us. And then it's like really actually under there. It's going to come back. but
Especially if you have mental health issues.
oh yeah, definitely come back. But yeah, no shit. But yeah, no, I waited and now I'm good. I'm good. I'm tapped out. But three is fun. I like three. So I always highly recommend that one. It's chaos. So if you do it, just know it's gonna be chaos. But I think you're already one step ahead. I think that's my biggest thing is like you already are I think you're aware. I think that's the biggest thing is like that self-awareness of where you're at. And that's my biggest thing for having more kids when I talk to anyone is like, one, you have to obviously have that conversation with your spouse and your whatever. Like everyone always says, like, picture what you want your table to look like. I hate that shit. I'm like, that's all fine and dandy. I love it. Like, I love the idea. It sounds beautiful in retrospect, but what we're picturing is a feeling. Like, so you're picturing everyone sitting there, and what I'm imagining is everyone smiling and happy, but you have to be very realistic and be like, okay, well, if I have six children, that just makes sense. I'm just coming up with a number, but like if you are envisioning six children and you're envisioning them all sitting around a table happy, you need to make sure that like you are going to have the width band, your family's going to have the width band to provide all the things that would essentially hopefully elicit a happier response. You can't control any of this stuff in the long run, but like all the resources and the support and whatnot. But I always say too, I was like, you need to make sure that you're sitting there and happy too, because if you're sitting there and if you're not there because your mental health was so in the shit, or you didn't take care of yourself, or um, you neglected yourself to where you missed a doctor's appointment constantly and you got sick. I don't know. I'm like coming up with all these things where if you stretch yourself too thin that you're not going to be able to sit there, or if one day you are sitting there and you are so burnt out and my biggest thing actually is when everyone leaves the table. Like that's all great too, but how do you want to feel when everyone has left the table? Because that's also a hope of parents, ideally, is that one day our kids won't be always at our table. As heartbreaking as that is, but that's the point of parenthood is that we let them fly. But I'm always, telling that to moms, and I tell it to myself because I'm just not like I'm a guru that knows the shit. I'm struggling just as much as anyone else, but I'm always reminding myself is I want to be able to sit comfortably with myself. And I'm in that phase right now. I think that's what's kind of made Instagram funky for me right now is that I'm not the pregnancy thing is huge. Like when you're pregnant, watch your content will go fucking crazy because there's such community to it. But I'm in a weird phase where it's this phase of my kids in elementary school and all that stuff that it's kind of hush hush a little bit. You don't really hear about this as much where I don't want to share them as much because that pregnancy stuff is a little bit more personal. But now I have people that are grown humans that my daughter Cassidy, I always ask her, I'm like, do you want me to post this? Like if I take a video of her or something, I always ask her, I'm like, do you want me to post this? And I always tell her because she loves her teacher, I'm like, your teacher might see this because I think her teacher follows me, and she'll tell me, yeah, I want her to see this, or she'll be like, yeah, no, and I'm like, okay, that's great. But I also
Yeah.
don't really want to be pulling their stuff in because they're little people. And I'm trying to find me because now that they're out of the house, I'm sitting with myself now. I'm sitting with you, which is wonderful. But I'm trying to like sit with me where I'm like, okay, I'm home and I can do more home projects. I can do more things. I can get a fucking bird and do all these
Can't
things
believe
where I'm
you
like,
did that.
I love it. I'm so excited. I should have had him on my shoulder for in this
You should
podcast.
have.
It
Yes.
would have been so fun. But I do all these things where I'm like, okay, but it's now a huge pivot from what I started as. I started my page the same as most moms, as a brand new mom with 202, and then it grew, and now I'm settling into the storyline. But I want to share more of me, but I don't really know who me is because I was lost for a little bit. But that's like it's a funky transition period. So
I definitely get that. I mean, even me, like, not really being like super postpartum anymore. Like, I told my husband the other day, I was like, I don't really want to be Maddie the mama anymore. Like, I want to be like, just
don't you sometimes?
Maddie.
Yeah, but and I feel bad too because I'm like I always am talking to parents and I'm like I don't always want I want parents to be my demographic, but I want all women to be listening to this. Like I don't want moms specifically to just come here and whatever. And I love being a mom. I'm proud to be a mom, but I'm
Right.
also a me, and I don't want to always just be known as mom content. She's a mom influencer. I'm like, well, I'm a lot more than that. Like I'm not
I
just
have a
sharing
lot of
parenting.
facets to myself.
Yeah, it's actually like the last thing I said because I'm not a parent. I'm not an expert for some reason. Like when you are dubbed a mom, like people think that like what you're talking about when it comes to kids, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just throwing. It's like throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what
Yeah,
sticks.
literally.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm just in it with you guys, but I'm a mom and I'll share that. But it's like I also just have so many other facets of myself that I'm like, it's hard. I don't know.
I get
Motherhood
that.
niche is like a hard one to get into.
It is. Yeah.
I don't
Agreed.
know.
Well, that's
How
why
many
we got to sprinkle in mental health.
I know, right? Sprinkle in mental health, whatever the hell you want. Sprinkle in whatever you want and watch whatever you want because that's the fun part about social media.
I
So
just made a video the other day that I have a secret talent of being able to sound like a goose. So, like,
do it. Do it.
it's just on demand goose. Okay, here we go. See, this is what we mean by multifaceted people. I'm a mother, but
I'm a,
also a goose.
you see? I love it. I love it so much. Oh, I did that. I can sound like a turkey, or I used to. I go, and I did that once because we have wild turkeys around in New Jersey, and I discovered that talent when I rolled down the window and I did it to a group of turkeys, and they literally came to me. And I also, this is a complete side note, but we're going to get into this because we just said that we're other things than moms. I discovered this talent. That one. And then before that, I discovered a talent for cows. My sister-in-law, I have to see if she has this video, but my sister-in-law and I were in Kentucky. And where do you live? You're in Colorado, right?
I'm in Houston.
Oh, shut up. I didn't know you were in Texas.
Hmm.
I thought you were okay. I thought you were more Colorado. Okay. There you go. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm
But
just down here with no rights. It's no big deal.
the
Everybody
red,
pray for me if I get pregnant.
the Handmaid's Tale. I have only seen
I
that show
actually
once.
am of Darren.
There you go. I've only seen a little bit of that show. I need to watch more of it. I started the first season and then I remember them beating the shit out of a guy. I think that was like,
Mhm.
was that like a punishment or something they did for people? They would like let them have at it.
Yeah, I watched one season and then it just like got a little too close. Like this, I
There's the
feel like
goose. I heard the guess. I heard the
is loose
goose.
now, yeah.
The goose is loose.
We got to go back to the cow.
Okay, so the cow. So my sister-in-law filmed this. We were in Kentucky and we were at like our friend's farm and I went to like the gate and these cows, it was like these, the black like meat cows, like the big I don't know what the hell they're called, but heifers. And they were all on the other side of the fence and I'm standing there and I'm wearing a black sweatshirt, but I started going, "Meow." I'm not kidding. It was this whole herd. It was probably like 30 cows. All were facing the opposite direction. They all turned and then came and you hear my sister-in-law being like, "Mary." And I just kept doing it. And then they all started walking and they all came right up to the fence to come and see me. And they're like, they think that you're a cow. And then sure enough, at the end of the video, my sister-in-law is so funny. She just like, you just see her filming me. And then all of a sudden you hear her go, "Wah!" And she just dashes at the cows and makes them all sprint away. And I'm like, why would you do that? I was connecting with them. But I learned that I can speak turkey and cow. And now I have
He's
a bird.
like, Mary,
So
you're a heifer.
that was when the freshman 15 were on me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, you know what? If people don't want to follow us because we're mothers, follow us because we know how to speak animal.
We're like Snow White over here. We're like real life Snow Whites. Can't you, would you say you could do the SpongeBob voice too? See, like we can, if anyone here is hiring for voice actors, we're here.
Oh my God.
We're here.
Yeah.
Oh God. This was a fun conversation. I enjoyed
We have
it.
gotten so off topic. For everyone
I know.
listening is probably like, what is
I know. There's so much we could talk about, but mainly I wanted Maddie on for mental health because I just think it's like, I think it's a great area that you have really tapped into, and I appreciate it. Like, everyone, everyone has different audiences, but I think everyone forgets that like I see that, and we have different size audiences, but you made an impact on me just seeing that, like, and seeing your story. So like that's why I wanted you to be on, and I say that for everyone here. Like if you're not a creator, if you're not anyone that wants to share anything, just talking to one other person. If you have a group of girlfriends, try being honest. If you haven't, like, try for 1 second. I know it's so scary to like let those scary thoughts in your head come on out, but you would be amazed as to what you will learn from someone else, because I promise you, as alone as you feel, because I know that isolating feeling, like it's your head. No one can be inside your head. So it's always going to kind of feel like no one will truly understand. That's okay. But there is someone that is going to be pretty darn close, or at least sitting next to you in the same thing that's similar. You'd be shocked to see how many of us are actually doing that. I think that was a big thing too, is like even with the SSRIs over the summer, I was at a birthday party for my daughter and all the moms were sitting, we were letting them play in the pool and we were talking, and I don't know how the topic came up, but we were talking about like something with medication, and every mom was like, "Oh, Prozac saved me, Zoloft." And I was the only one that wasn't on anything. And there was a pride aspect in that a little bit, where I was like, and what's funny too is I never considered myself struggling with mental health because I wasn't medicating. But I was always struggling with my mental health. But because I didn't medicate myself, I considered myself not someone that struggled with their mental health. And I'm like, that's not true. There's no, like, medication isn't like a label that like you're officially crazy. Like you could be crazy without it. But like,
I know plenty of
no
people
one's
that
crazy.
should be medicated.
No kidding. I think my sister and I were like, this shit should be in the water. Like, why don't we just
fluoride? Just
fluoride.
It's all right.
We'd have the ultimate utopia over here. But
literally,
yeah, it's one of those things. Open up and get real for a second. And I promise you, like, it doesn't have to be to everyone on the social webs. Just find someone to just try it with. And I promise you, it's going to like just be that extra step that will help you and getting you to where you need to be. So
I think that's like one of my favorite parts about being a creator. Like, obviously, yes, I love like creating content and like my little skits that I do, but also like I love like when people message me and I'm like, I'm somebody's safe space. Like somebody feels like close enough to me to message me about their struggles or
Mhm.
asking me about, like my journey and like whatever. So I think that's like honestly like one of my favorite parts about this whole
Same.
creator journey.
Same. I have one and it's been nagging me and I need to actually make a story because it's like something that popped in my head. Don't you love, do you lay it down at the end of the night and then suddenly a thought that you like completely forgot about just like shoots to the top of your head and now I
Yes.
can't get rid of it? There was a mom, and if you're listening, please God, if you're listening, I hope you are. If you messaged me, because there was a mom that messaged me last week, I want to say it was last week, and it was one of those, I got an Apple Watch. I'm telling you, I love it. It's fucking with me because I see the messages come on and then I read it and I could technically respond, but it's like I have to like, I don't know, it's
Right.
weird on there. I don't, so I'll read it, but I think it marks itself and then I forget to respond on my phone. And with my messages, it gets buried and like whatever. And there was a mom and I know she reached out, but and I know she started, she's like, I don't mean this, but right now I really hate being a mom. And it was like such a heartbreaking message that I read because I think I was in the middle of like my kids beating the shit out of each other. And now I can't find it. And I'm like killing myself because I know it was like a message that like was long and I could just tell that she was like sending it to me and now I can't find it. And I'm like, oh God, like I hope you're listening. If you did, please message me again. I'm not ignoring anyone, but like it like you said, it to get messages like that. And I thankfully I do a lot. I love my community. They're
Me too.
very nice. I haven't gotten like a lot of like I my face doesn't look too bad right now, but I got like a little work cosmetic stuff done yesterday. But like I get nervous sharing that shit even, and people are all nice. And I'm like, okay, because you never know what the hell you're gonna get with that stuff. But um like it's just a good community, but it's like killing me right now that I didn't respond to that mom because like I know it. Like, and sometimes you just need that one person. And sometimes online, I think that's the cool thing too, is like it is safe because it's not someone right in front of you. It's not someone that you even know. Like you may feel like you know Maddie or I if you're following us, but you don't at the end of the day. It's kind of feeling, but that's what allows us to keep that community is that there is this ambiguity a little bit that makes it a little bit more comfy. It's like when you text something versus calling someone. That's like easier. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I feel like my sister's passing was like this was the gift that I was given.
mhm,
With everything tragic comes a rainbow of some sort. And I think that without her passing, this would have never been a gift. Like I would have never been like, "Oh, you're struggling? Let me help," and like actually mean it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, let me talk to you about it. Let's talk through it. Like I feel for you.
yeah,
Without her passing, I'm pretty sure I probably would have been still very stuck in my mindset, like, what's wrong with you people?
yeah. Are you religious? Are you religious? I don't even know if I'm not either.
I'm
Okay.
technically baptized Catholic, but so
Same.
probably I'm going to hell.
You and I both. You and I both. I just had my mom. My mom is starting to nag me because I was baptized and like I got my communion and
Me
confirmation and all that
too.
stuff. But
Yeah.
we were like a family that went for the special occasions. My dad was like one of those that acted like he was a holier than thou only on Christmas. So it was like he would like be yelling at us, and I'm like, you come all year and you're acting, dear God.
You don't even know the priest.
No. But now they're on me to get my kids and they want Cassie to get. I've gotten them baptized because my husband's Catholic and I respect that. And I agreed to that. I was like, I will do baptized. That's fine. But I don't want to have my kids pursue communion. Personally, I don't uh, I don't practice religion. I believe in something, but I don't really like the whole rules and the Catholic. I don't agree a lot with the Catholic Church and mindset and stuff like that. And it's fine if you are Catholic again, but just it didn't work with me. And yeah, I would rather not. But my mom is on my ass right now about that. I'm like, it's not happening. It's fine. We're gonna teach it some other way of some sort because I just want my kids to feel like you said, there is a light in the like. I want them to feel that like something good out of it, like because shit's gonna happen. And I feel like that's the one thing that's helping carrying me through like the mental health stuff is like I got someone on my side. I don't know who, but I got someone and I'm trying to like figure that out. But that's also it's a religion and mental health is a weird complex conversation too. I have to talk to someone about that because there's like a lot of like religious thoughts about mental health and struggles. It's just yeah, no,
I
not
feel
mine.
like I've been so disconnected from religion for a long time that I
Same.
like can't. I mean, and it's nothing like I don't care what anybody believes. Like I
Yeah.
love that some people believe this and some that. But yeah, I've just been disconnected from that part of my life for a very long time.
Same. I'm happy. I'm happier without it too. I know not everyone would agree. How about your husband? Is he religious or no? Okay.
Nothing, not even
Okay.
baptized.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mhm.
Is he believe in anything or is he more like I don't, was it atheistic? I don't even know the
Yeah,
difference.
agnostic-ish.
Agnostic.
I think I don't think he really believes in anything. I've tried to get him to go to Christian church, like a Christian non-denominational, simply because I like the vibes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that it's like sometimes the pastors are giving like messages that like aren't super biblical, like just like life
That's what I want. That's what I like.
lessons.
I want stuff that pertains, and that's like the biggest thing with the Catholic Church. Like I've tried going. It is so they're losing the younger crowd so tremendously because their messages are not meant for us. Like I went to one really bad, but I'm like, I want to go and someone talk about what like currently I'm struggling with because that's what I need. Like I need someone that's like a motivational coach. And if you want to pull in the name Jesus to do that, that's fine. Cause I think it's all energy. I think it's all the same
Separate,
thing.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's all the same. At the end of the day, I think we're just trying to slap a label on it. But I don't know. I get freaked out by the music sometimes. And when I see like the big,
Oh,
although I would love to go to one of those big ass mega churches down in Texas is famous for that. So you should totally do that shit.
it's not all it's crap.
I know, but I just want to go to the one. No, I don't want to do it for like being a part of it. I just want to go and watch one of the Christmas spectacle. Have you seen where like
they're
they have
like
like
flying
Jesus?
in the air.
Yeah, I want to
Look,
see like
where are
Jesus
my
coming
church
in.
dollars going? So Joel Osteen can fly from the ceiling.
Yeah, that.
Sorry to anyone that goes to a mega church.
No. We love everyone. As long as everyone's happy, then I'm good. But
Yeah,
it's
I
just
don't
not my
care. If that's what brings you joy, that's awesome. Fly,
yeah.
Joel, fly.
Fly. That's why I want to go because that would bring me joy to see like Jesus
Yeah,
on like
I
the
would say
Cirque du
it's pretty
Soleil.
joyous. Yeah.
It'd be funny. But anyway,
Yeah.
that conversation took a spin. So, all
Yes,
right.
it did.
Well, yeah, we'll wrap that up because I think we talked enough and I'm sure we both do you have kids home with you today? What do you do with the kids during the day?
No, my mom is my nanny. So I like
Okay.
retired her. She used to be she worked at a daycare like in an infant room. And so now
Nice.
my husband and I just like pay her salary for watching her
Nice.
grandkids instead. So yeah, it's a win-win for everybody. But
Awesome.
yeah, I think like going back to just really quickly, especially people who struggle with mental health who are thinking about having another baby, I feel like I was robbed of my experiences because I was not medicated and I did not like take care of my mental health. And I would really like to see how it is like, and that's not the only reason I'm having a kid. It's not an experiment, but I would definitely like to see how I do postpartum medicated.
Yeah. Can you be medicated during pregnancy?
I believe that you can take Zoloft.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's
Some of my followers have told me.
okay. Yeah, obviously talk to your doctor and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
no.
And like I said, got a D in my classes.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. No, I would be. I mean, that would be what I would be curious of. Because same thing. Like I might. Yeah, no. Third postpartum period was not pretty. Second during COVID rocked the shit out of me. Where I know I was really, but same thing where you said it really struggled to connect with your son. It took me almost 2 years to connect because I didn't have, and I felt better when I got pregnant. And that was when, because I realized that it was like a hormonal thing. And that's when I finally could. But I was so like between COVID and in the constant state of fight or flight. And he was he was like more colicky and he was more clingy. And I just felt like I loved him and I would have done anything for him, but I can't remember anything either about any of that. If I didn't have my camera roll, I wouldn't know any single moment of that entire, like his infancy, especially. I remember a little bit more as he got like after one, but even then it's like a blur. Like I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, who were you? Like, it's crazy looking at me postpartum.
I definitely know that feeling too. And I think that's another topic that people don't talk about enough is like not bonding with your baby.
I know.
And that doesn't mean that you need to be on, just for everybody listening, that does not necessarily mean that you need to be on like an SSRI, but
no, because it's a very common thing.
Yeah, but it is like one of the signs of postpartum depression.
Yeah. Yeah. If you feel like you can't connect or any of that, like, and I'll say it true also from like a flip side, because I didn't have the love at first sight with my first. I didn't have that. And what not just, I think most women actually, I think it's called the pregnancy pause or labor pause. I think that's what like that shocked when women look kind of like when the baby comes out, if you see videos and the women are just kind of like this and the babies, and they call it something like that. Like it's kind of like a moment of being like, what the hell? Because your body just did something.
Happening? Yeah.
Yeah. But her delivery was so traumatic that I remember I didn't have that love at first sight because I thought I was just going to be like, this is my child and I'll fight for her and I'll do anything. And I did. I was very worried about her, but I don't know. I felt like I needed to be like a mama bear, like something was going to come out of me. But instead I was still like I was 27. I was still like a little girl. Like if you think about it, I was so young and having a baby that like, thank God my mom came in. My mom was actually more of the advocate for me because I just didn't know. And I was such a deer in headlights, but I remember she came and they brought her down to the NICU and I didn't really have a time to like bond with her. And that obviously impacted it. But I remember my sister wheeling me down and I just cried. And I said, I think if you wheeled me out of this hospital right now, I wouldn't care and I could leave her. And she's like, you just need to see her and you just need to sit. And it got better. And that was great. But with my second, funny enough, I actually had more of a love at first sight initially because I had more time to prepare for the pregnancy and I was like getting ready. But then it was the afterwards that all of a sudden I was like, this isn't the same kid, especially like this is a different kid. And then I felt like shit. And then the world's on fire. And yeah, it was hell. And I wish I'd known that. I feel like I didn't talk to anyone about it because I thought I was meant to feel like shit too, because I feel like everyone about motherhood is like, if you see it, and granted, we are all kind of like, we're sitting in yoga pants and as comfy as we can be, and we're not like to the nines, but I thought that I should like looking kind of run down and feeling run down are two completely different things. And I thought it was normal to feel that way because that's what moms should feel like. Mom should feel incredibly exhausted to a point that they are crying in the shower every time. Like I thought that was normal. And I'm like, no, like, yeah. So I would have been curious, but that's not happening again. So you report back to me as to how that one goes.
I will. Yeah. I wish, I will say that one thing that doesn't happen for me anymore is I can't shower cry.
No.
The loft really makes my cry sessions few and far between. But what's interesting is like, I can't cry over like, it's going to sound bad, like real things. Like if my husband and I get in a fight or something, like I used to be able to like in the shower or in front of him. I distinctly remember him being like, we were fighting over something stupid and usually I'd be crying and he was like, why are you crying right now? And I was like, honestly, the Zoloft is not going to allow for that. But
it's not going to happen.
I can watch like a sad video of a dog on TikTok and still like bawl my eyes. So
same. It's unpredicted.
Be, like, different points of the brain.
It's got to be because that's true for me even because there are certain things that I can give two shits about, but I was getting teary-eyed this morning and I don't know about what. I got teary-eyed last night about the damn bird because the bird was so fucking cute and it was cuddling on my shoulder. And then I saw
the bird.
He was so cute. But he's like that. And I just love that my kids are like obsessed with him. But I was like watching and I'm like, all in my head. And I'm like, this is the best. And then I was like getting emotional. I'm like, this makes no sense. But, maybe that's what normal people should be like, is like, maybe that's, I don't know. You and I are we've cried too much that we don't even know what normal
I'm like, anyone who's listening, please, tap in.
There is no normal. I think, you know what? That's the thing. It's like, I think there's like normal is a spectrum and there is no one clear cut normal. The important thing is feeling happy. Be happy. Yeah. And that's all good. So, there's so much. Thank you for being here. I enjoyed this conversation. This is fun.
This was fun. This was a lot more than mental health. It's all talents.
Joel Osteen, shit religion. It's fine. It's all good. I didn't realize that we have more than we relate to. I love that. I love that for us.
We have a lot in common. I love that.
Yeah. Yay. Good. Well, for everyone listening, Maddie, I'm going to link all of her stuff in the show notes. I would highly recommend just going to follow her because I'll say that too, is Maddie is great. I think I love, because I think when you get on your stories, I can tell that you genuinely just don't give a shit. And I like when you create your content too, because I never know what you're going to come out with. I'm giving you feedback. I like to give everyone feedback.
I love that.
I watch it, but I don't know what I'm going to see come up on my feed from you because like you said, like the goose or like your like the hidden talents, but I love seeing that shit. Like I just love seeing variety from people that I like. And there's like, I get to, obviously we all see people on social media that draw us in and that's what makes us hit that follow button. But like, I like to see more and I like to learn more facets of a person because it's just, you only see so many sides, but I like that you're brave enough to do that because that's hard. I even struggle with it. You should see how many drafts I have in my draft folder right now. It's insane. But I'm going to take a note out of your book.
I wish I had any drafts. Everything's day of.
Really? Oh God, I used to do that. And then I got really anxious about it. And so I just have a bunch of drafts. TikTok, I used to do that though, because TikTok makes it easier with audio and now it can't. So I haven't made a reel in a very long time because I refuse to go on Instagram and try and search for an audio because there's no way to do that. How do you even search for an audio on Instagram? Do you know how to do that?
No, I don't typically do like trend type content,
I will if it's a song, but I don't like the trendy audios on Instagram. But I like TikTok because TikTok I can go and find like one that maybe is a little bit newer or one that's like immediate, but like the editing in there was so much nicer. But say lovey, we'll make it work.
Gotta take notes.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah. But also don't shadow ban us.
Don't shadow ban us. I'm sorry. I love you. Oh God. All right. Well, everyone, on that note, I'm going to put Maddie's stuff in the show notes. Follow her. Talk to us if you have no one else to talk to about mental health, and go take care of yourselves, please. Like, we want you here. That's the biggest thing I think Maddie and I can both relate on is, for personally dealing with suicidal ideation, of having that voice in your head. It's a terrifying thing. And I think we both have to constantly tell ourselves, like, we're here. We need to be here and we're going to do that and whatever. But obviously from Maddie's point of view as well, and from her experience, I'm sure you'll be the first to tell you, be here. Because that's, I know you're hurting and I know it sucks and sometimes life is really hard, but be here, please. Because give it till tomorrow and then give it the next day and just a little bit longer. Just see. Let's see. Why not?
Also, like a notable plug that if like going to the doctor and like having the conversation of needing medication is something that like gives you anxiety, hers is an amazing resource that's what I personally used and I still use to this day. So that might be something that you want to throw in the show notes because it is online. You talk to a psychiatrist, you take a questionnaire, and if that's something that gives you anxiety about medication.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Amazing resource. Yeah.
I didn't know that because I might even have to look into that because I've gotten my medication through like my general practitioner and stuff, but I want to meet with a psychiatrist that's like more, that can make sure the medication I'm taking is like the best fit and whatnot. So that's nice because it is. Do you have to meet with them? Like, do you face to face on telehealth? Okay.
No, you don't even have to do that. You just can take like a questionnaire and they'll ask you any follow-up questions and then they will start helping you with your medication journey. Like, this is where you should start. And then they'll check in with you every like 4 weeks until like you're feeling good. And yeah, I mean, it's an amazing service. I highly
Do they take insurance through that?
They do not. That's the one thing that, but that's the other thing. If you don't have insurance, for that too. It's not very expensive. So
okay. All right. Well, I will put that in the show notes then. And that's an amazing resource. I love that they're coming out with more stuff like that because that's like the biggest step is asking for help because that's one of the scariest. And there's nothing to be scared of. Please, if you do that, please. So, and if you're scared and you need support, message one of us. Yes. So awesome. Thanks, Maddie. Stay there. I'm going to pause this. Okay. And we'll go from there. Awesome. Thanks, guys. All right, Mama, that is a wrap on today's episode of Picking Daisies. I hope today's chat left you feeling seen, understood, and maybe even gave you a good laugh along the way. As we all know, motherhood isn't easy, life isn't easy, but it's moments like these where we can connect and share our stories that really help make that load feel a lot lighter. So if you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world to me if you could take a moment to leave a rating and review. Your feedback not only will help this show grow, but also it will make sure it reaches other moms who might need that same dose of honesty, humor, and heart. And don't forget, if something in today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or hop on over to Instagram or wherever you connect on social media and keep the conversation going. I love hearing your stories and being a part of this journey with you. Thank you for being here and for showing up for yourself. And then, of course, sharing that space with me. So until next time, remember, we all grow through what we go through. You've got this, Mama. I'll see you next week.